Good day, everyone. Now we will be presenting the ethical scoreboard comparison of the Bombardier Incorporated versus the Boeing. It will be presented by me and Derek, Gianpaolo, Cirilo, and then Gitangeli. We will begin with an introduction to Bombardier and Boeing, provided an overview of both companies and their roles in the aerospace industry. Next, we will explore the ethical challenges each company faces, analyzing key issues such as safety, labor practices, and corporate governance. We will then apply ethical frameworks and tools to assess these challenges systematically. Following this, we will present a scoreboard analysis, comparing the two companies across 5 key ethical dimensions to determine which performs better overall. Finally, we will conclude with a summary of findings and reflections on the process of measuring ethics, discussing its value and broader applications in business and personal decision making. First company will be the Bombardier Incorporated. This is a Canadian multinational aerospace and transportation manufacturer with a primary focus on business jets. While it previously produced commercial aircraft, the company has shifted its strategy in recent years to concentrate on high-end business aviation, including its renowned Challenger and Global aircraft families. As a part of the global aerospace and defense industry, Bombardier specializes in designing, manufacturing, and servicing private jets for corporate and VIP clients. The company also maintains a significant presence in a rail transportation through its separate Bombardier Transportation Division. Though its core aerospace business remains centered on a premium business aircraft known for their innovation, range, and then cabin comfort. On the other hand, will be the Boeing. This is an American multinational aerospace corporation and one of the world's largest manufacturers in the aerospace and defense industry. The company designs and produces a commercial jetliners. The jetliners defense system, including military aircraft and satellites, and space technologies like NASA Space Launch System. A key player in a global aviation, Boeing serves airlines, governments, and private clients with a significant focus on innovation, safety, and sustainability. Boeing is a leader in aerospace, driving advancement in passenger air travel, national security, and space exploration. For the ethical challenges for the Bombardier Incorporated, Gianpaolo will be reported.
Now let's examine Bombardier's key ethical challenges. First, government bailouts and transparency issues. Bombardier has received billions in public funds, including a $3 billion bailout from the Canadian government in 2020. This raised serious concerns when executives simultaneously received millions in bonuses, leading to public outcry about proper use of taxpayer money. As reported by CBC News in 2020, this created a clear conflict between corporate interest and public trust. Second, we have corruption allegations. Transparency International's 2021 report highlighted investigation into Bombardier for alleged bribery in securing international contracts. Particularly in Sweden and Azerbaijan, these cases damaged the company's reputation and raised questions about its global business practices. Finally, mass layoffs and worker relations. During their major reconstructing, Bombardier laid off thousands of employees while continuing to pay executive bonuses. The Globe and Mail in 2021 documented how this created tension with unions and sparked debate about fair treatment of workers versus shareholder priorities. These issues collectively paint a concerning picture of Bombardier's ethical track record in recent years. Now let's analyze these challenges through 3 key ethical lenses. First, through corporate social responsibility. Bombardier's gaps in transparency and accountability with public funds have significantly undermined community trust. When a company accepts billions in taxpayer money while awarding executive bonuses, it fails the basic CSR test of ethical stewardship. Second, examining stakeholder management through the five key questions. Who matters? Employees and taxpayers clearly weren't prioritized. What are their rights? Job security and proper fund usage were overlooked. The how, why, and when of decisions reveal weak engagement at every level. Finally, applying Kohlberg's moral development framework, Bombardier's decision appears struck at a conventional level. They focus on legal compliance. Can we do this? Rather than asking, should we do this? This explains why they technically followed bailout terms while violating public trust. Now let's break down the Bombardier situation using two important concepts. The bailout controversy perfectly shows how small problems grow into big crises. It started with quiet public concerns about executive bonuses, then exploded into full media outrage. This matches the classic crisis pattern we've studied from hidden issues to public scandal. Second, the utilitarian approach. If we use the greatest good perspective, Bombardier's layoff makes some business sense, cutting costs to save the company. But at what cost? Thousands of families harmed, communities damaged. The math might work on paper, but the human impact raises serious ethical questions. In simple terms, Bombardier handled their crisis poorly, letting small problems become big ones, and while their survival decisions helped the company's bottom line, they forgot to count the real human piece. Let's look at where Bombardier is making progress and where it falls short. On the positive side, the company has shown a real commitment to sustainably with clear goals in its latest ESG reports, like reducing emissions and improving supply chains ethics. This demonstrates responsiveness to modern ethical expectations. But major unresolved issues after years of bailout, controversies, and layoffs. Rebuilding trust is still a work in progress. Taxpayers question if their money was well spent, and employees wonder if they'll be treated fairly in future downturns.
So let's examine Boeing's most serious ethical failures. The 737 MAX tragedies in 2018 and 2019, two catastrophic crashes took 346 lives, linked to Boeing's flawed MCAS software. Investigations found the company knew about risk but failed to act decisively. This wasn't just a technical failure, it was an ethical collapse in safety accountability. For the profit over safety, internal documents show Boeing rushed production and ignored warnings to meet financial targets. When cost cutting trumps human lives, it's a clear violation of engineering ethics. Silencing whistleblowers, even after the crashes, employees who spoke up about safety gaps face retaliation, not protection. A healthy safety culture encourages transparency. Boeing's culture suppresses it. Now let's break down Boeing's failure using three key ethical lenses. First is the principle of rights. Every passenger has a fundamental right to safety, a right Boeing violated when it ignored known risks. It wasn't just negligence, it was a moral failure to protect human life. The second is the crisis management. When problem emerged, Boeing failed at containment, delaying fixes, downplaying risk, and resisting the 737 MAX grounding. A proper crisis response requires transparency, not denial. And the last one is the Kant's categorical imperative. Kant teaches us don't make exceptions for yourself. Boeing's leadership chose profit over ethical duty, acting as if their shortcuts could be universal, and that's the opposite of moral leadership. Boeing handling of the 737 MAX crisis failed on every level. A stakeholder analysis reveals catastrophic harm. Passengers lost lives, stakeholders lost billions, and regulators lost trust. This wasn't just bad luck, it was a total breakdown of the top 10 principles of product and safety. Critical testing was rushed. Critical testing was rushed, warnings were ignored, and transparency were replaced with corporate spin. And the result? A preventable tragedy that exposed how profit-driven decisions can eclipse ethical obligations. Now, let's examine where Boeing has made progress and where critical work ethic remains. On the positive side, Boeing has taken concrete steps to address failures, including new leadership and strengthen safety protocols. Their 2023 reports show measurable improvements in oversight, a necessary first step toward accountability. But the deeper challenge remains trust isn't rebuilt through policies alone. Airlines and global regulators burned by past deception still question whether safety truly becomes before profit. And real change requires years of consistent action, not just PR. So let's listen to Gitanjali for her report.
Hi everyone, I'll be running you through the scorecard analysis. Using an ethics scorecard for the aerospace industry, Bombardier Inc. and Boeing were evaluated across 5 key perspectives: employee, customer, community or society, supply chain or vendor, shareholder or owner. Employee and customer perspectives carry the most weight due to sectors' reliance on safety, skilled labor, and trust. In the employee category, Bombardier scored 20 points out of 25, maintaining positive labor relations despite layoffs, while Boeing scored 14 out of 25 due to whistleblower retaliation and ignored safety warnings. For the customer perspective, Bombardier's strong safety record earned it 20 out of 25 points, whereas Boeing's reputation suffered, scoring 12 out of 25 following the 737 MAX crashes and transparency failures. In the community or society category, Bombardier scored 14 out of 20 for improved sustainability and community involvement, while Boeing scored 12 out of 20, hampered by low public trust. In supply chain or vendor ethics, Bombardier earned 7 out of 10 points for having a vendor code of conduct but limited enforcement transparency, while Boeing scored 5 out of 10 due to persistency, supply chain quality issues. Under shareholder or owner, Bombardier scored 15 out of 20 points, reflecting governance improvements despite bailout controversies, compared to Boeing's 10 out of 20 points, which highlighted governance breakdowns during the 737 MAX crisis. Overall, Bombardier achieved 76 out of 100, showing stronger ethical performance, particularly in safety and governance, while Boeing scored 53 out of 100 with significant weaknesses in employee protection, safety, and crisis management. This suggests Bombardier currently upholds higher ethical standards in the area most critical to the aerospace industry. Over to Derek.
Our analysis shows that Bombardier Incorporated, with a score of 76 out of 100, demonstrates stronger overall ethical performance than Boeing, which scored 53. Bombardier's relative strengths lie in maintaining a strong safety record, fostering better employee relations, and gradually improving governance practices, while Boeing continues to face significant challenges in safety management, whistleblower protection, and corporate accountability following the 737 MAX crisis. This comparison is important not only for the companies themselves but also for the aerospace industry as a whole, where safety, transparency, and stakeholder trust are critical for long-term success. By highlighting these gaps and strengths, this scorecard provides both firms with a clear roadmap for strengthening their ethical practices. Based on the evidence, Bombardier is the more ethical company in the current assessment. Attempting to quantify and measure ethics through a scorecard proved to be a useful exercise because it's transformed abstract concepts like trust, fairness, and responsibility into measurable criteria that can be compared objectively. While ethics will always involve subjective judgment, assigning weights aims for forces a structured evaluation that highlights strengths, weaknesses, and priorities for improvement. This approach can produce impactful results as it allows stakeholders to make evidence-based comparison and set clear goals for ethical improvement. Beyond this project, the idea of quantifying non-measurable criteria can be applied in daily life or work. For example, by scoring job opportunities based on the personal values, evaluating team performance and collaboration and respect, or even assessing personal growth in areas like empathy and integrity, turning subjective qualities into actionable insights.